Greetings and welcome, fellow Dragon Slayers, to a new Let's Play series. Welcome to Let's Play Divinity 2, the Developer's Cut. Right. A very fine game in the Divinity series, although probably most likely known from the current day series of Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2. Many games have been made in the world of Divinity. This is one particular game that I never knew I wanted. I am pretty sure that I got this game through one Steam sale or another at one point in time. Never knew it, really knowing what it was about. The title doesn't really say much, and while I probably didn't get it I might have gotten the developer's cut at the time, but I think eventually it got upgraded to that. But that's neither here nor there. Not the point. So, what is this game all about? I'd really love to tell you, but I can't. Divinity is really a game that should be experienced. Because trying to explain why, that's just something that's a little bit beyond my ken. I mean, it's already gonna take every ounce of restraint for me to not insult the waffle eaters that made this game. But apparently Belgium does have some very good game developing studios, and Larian Studios is definitely one of my favorite. It's also the only one I know of, but you know, that makes it much easier to make it a favorite. Hey Tiggy. Now I really need to record now. Could you please not play with the mic? Alright, well, pending any further feline interruptions, let's see if we can get this started. The game Divinity actually comes in 2 bits. The first one, Ego Draconis, is the main game in which you will spend probably most of the time. And the Flames of Vengeance is essentially a little bit of a story continuation DLC that came afterward. Now, my Latin is poor, to say the least, but I believe Ego Draconis means I dragon. So with that premise, we'll just get started on this. Please don't lock up, please don't lock up, please don't lock up. It starts good. Now, we'll continue this in a moment. Ominous floating islands. Yeah. Right. I probably should mention that Larian Studios has a knack from the games that I've seen of misdirecting the player into believing something, or making things appear in a certain way but absolutely not being that way at all. That intro told us absolutely nothing. Basically, we saw a bald guy with glowing eyes on floating islands, looking at a gem on his chest and looking a bit dismayed while having way too spiky armor. And a guy with glowing eyes in the forest trying to run down a dragon that can fly. I don't know how to put that into any context. I don't even know how the two things are related. I mean, of course I know from having played the game how they might be tangentially related, but for the sake of the story, why did you show us this? I mean, even if you're not going to give us an intro into the world of Divinity, presuming that we have played the previous games, probably, you're not even gonna give us a slight hint of where we are in the world? At the very least? I mean, I certainly didn't recognize where we were, but anyway, let us actually make a character now. I think I want to play female this time around. I mean, I did have a bit of a look into the save files, and apparently I've played this with two different characters at one point or another. Although I may have played with more and not remade any new characters, because I did play through this game a couple of times. Don't break anything. So let's get going with this now. How do we want? Let's make our face something. Now, you may notice that we don't have glowing eyes here. Because I was under the misapprehension that everyone in this world apparently had glowing eyes, or either that my graphics card was faulty. But apparently, it is not the case that everyone has glowing eyes. So, what do we want to look like? Scarred sorceress, scarred dragon slayer, scarred country girl, natural. No, I kind of like the tattoo here. That's something not too weird. Now let's go with ponytail blonde. I think there should be a way to turn the character, but I can't remember it. Alright, let's choose a voice.
I triggered something, but what?
I triggered something, but what? I triggered something, but what?
I triggered something, but what?
Feel my wrath.
Feel my wrath.
Feel my wrath! Oh, I don't feel too good.
Feel my wrath.
Oh, I don't feel too good.
Oh, I don't feel too good. I triggered something, but what?
Feel my wrath.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I don't...
Let's get off the voice line before we get into too much trouble. Alright, I'll settle on this face, that voice, that hair. Now we just need a name. What would be a good name for this one? What would be a good name? What would be a good name, actually? No, that would not be nice. Something different. You know what, let's just go with this. Alright. Yes.
Here we are, Farglow, the place where our disciples become true dragon slayers. And today, the honor is yours.
Alright. So we immediately have an interaction with a character we have not been introduced to yet, but who knows us already. What exactly will be going on here?
You'll have to see for yourself. Don't be so apprehensive. You'll be fine. This is a momentous step in every Slayer's life, but few have fared badly afterwards.
Well, obviously she's not coming with me. So when we meet again, I shall finally be a real Slayer?
Not completely, no. After the initiation, we will head back to Rivertown, where the ritual will come to its conclusion. But let's talk about that on the Zeppelin when we head back, shall we?
What are my orders?
They are quite simple. Seek out the men and women who reside here and benefit from their knowledge. That may sound a bit vague, but don't worry. Farglow will explain itself.
See you later, Commander.
Good luck, Slayer.
They did go all in on the spiky shoulders for characters here, didn't they? Right, we are in the world. We can move with buzzed. We can jump, which, you know, it's not always the most intuitive thing to do. These barrels are empty. This barrel has some gems in it, which isn't immediately necessary. Let's put those dukes away. Right, let's have a look around. I mean, I do like how this game looks, even for its age. It actually looks quite kind of nice. Character models are also not too bad, although obviously animation is a little bit... It can be a bit wonky.
When I was a disciple, I stepped from the Zeppelin so nervous it made me nauseous.
I was all right until I first saw Torrell. How he enjoyed it, too.
Alright, so we can have the log for various interactions, which is kind of good because you'll easily lose track of stuff. You can even look back at the dialogues you've had, although this last will get quite long. Alright, so skills-wise we have none, really. I mean, we have the basic skills, and there's quite a lot of stuff you can do, but none of that is really important, and we have, well, essentially no inventory. We have no weapons, we have no armor, except for what we have on, which is basically some light leather armor. I think, probably from the looks of it. No jewelry, and we have just the topaz we just picked up. So this is basically Tutorial Island. And there's lots of stuff to do. But nothing we really need to do. Like, for instance, we can chase bunnies. And we can kick the bunnies. Yay! And we gain 1 XP for that. But let's not bother with the bunnies. We have much more important things to do. But it is kind of nice to know. I mean, this game does not take itself seriously at all at any point. But it is quite an interesting story to tell nonetheless. Considering the framework. Alright.
The disciple arrives. Let me bid you a fond welcome to Farglow.
Now, it is completely up to you in which way you play this character of yours. You can be a complete arsehole and the game will still be playable. Depends on what you find more fun. I shall be gracious.
And I commend your patience. Most slayers loathe being referred to as a pupil. Such a belittling word, disciple is, wouldn't you say, for one who has since the age of 10 been groomed to become the elite of man's warriors. But don't you worry, you'll earn the title of Dragon Slayer soon enough.
Alright, well, Commander Road already told us this, so... Commander Road told me to benefit from the knowledge that is to be found here.
Couldn't have put it better myself. In fact, I have but one thing to add. Morgana is waiting by the waterfall. Find her, and the purpose of this day shall become crystal clear.
Who is Morgana?
The Archmage. She's an intimidating woman, to be sure, but pleasant enough in her own way. Her laboratory is at the back of the village, next to the Divine Memorial Flame.
Oh, tell me about that.
As the name says, it's a shrine that bears a flame in honor of the divine.
Alright, I can already tell some animating mistakes that they made here. This guy is way too animated for what he's telling me.
The bowl in which the flame was lit is held aloft by stone dragons. This design symbolizes the burden they carry on their shoulders, the guilt that was heaped upon them when they killed the divine.
Yeah, that's a bit of a backstory that I have not yet played. Now, I do have all the entries into the Divine series, but I have not yet had time or patience to play any of them yet. Heck, I have not even been able to begin the Divinity Original Sin 2 yet. Even though I have finished the Original Sin 1.
Oh, several people, but she'll send you on your way after her part of the ritual. The others probably won't share more than a few words with you until they know you've visited Morgana.
Alright, I bid you a good day.
And you, Slayer.
Now, despite the fact that we chose a voice for this character, there's not much voice acting going on at the moment. I mean, most of that will come when we actually get into combat and stuff. Alright, so Farglow. It looks impressive enough. But we should probably stick to the path that has been chosen for us. Can we steal a fish? Yeah, fishy, fishy, fishy. Come, pesh, 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 pesh. No fishies today. And I don't think we can get inside. Nope, Tom's house is locked. Nice pickies. That's a lot of food. And the crate is empty. Let's not bother with that then. Let's actually just head to where we want to go.
No.
And that's over here.
To combine that brew with last night's herbal distillation might cause an implosion. Try it anyway. You can be so irresponsible sometimes. That's easy for you to say. You can't die a second time.
Alright, that's a very good beginning. Someone talking with someone that isn't there.
Good to see you, disciple. I am Morgana, the Archmage of Farglow.
I don't mean to sound impertinent, but were you just talking to yourself?
No, of course I wasn't. I was talking to Toro, the ghost of a long-dead mage. No need to give me that look, either. You'll soon see him for yourself. But let's turn to the reason you are here. The ritual that will make you a true dragon slayer.
Alright, let's not be a complete ass here. I mean, that is fun in certain instances, but here I kind of just want to keep this moving. Tell me about this ritual.
To be a slayer is to hate the dragon, but also to understand it. No other order in Revellon takes the old military adage, know your enemy, quite so seriously as the Academy does. To attain this goal, I will infuse you with the memories of dragons. It will make you understand their language, motives, powers, and weaknesses. It will also color your eyes silver, the noted characteristic of the Slayer, which will enable you to see the spirits of the dead. The ritual has a side effect, but nothing can be done about that.
Well, this side effect you mentioned, tell me about it.
The real drawback is this. The spell was not originally designed for the brain of a human, so to make place for it, you will lose your active knowledge of your years as a slayer. It's unpleasant, I realize that. But a slayer needs those dragon memories in order to operate. The only comfort is that your powers still persist on a subconscious level, so you'll regain your skills rather quickly. Becoming a dragon slayer is a harsh occurrence, but you'll become one of Riverland's greatest heroes.
Right. Well, luckily I don't have any sexual skills, but presumably, of course, if I've been training since I was 10 years old, I probably should be a fearsome warrior at this stage, and you're telling me now all of that goes to waste. Let's just continue the story here. So the silver eyes that rode in the other's half enables them to see the dead?
Quite so. You could call it a perk that comes with the power of the memories. Everyone can see the living dead, of course, those poor souls that have fallen prey to necromancers. But to see the ghosts of those long dead is a precious ability, and will prove useful more frequently than you may think.
What did you mean by a slayer needs those dragon memories to operate?
The memories not only give you more insight and knowledge than a man could absorb in a century of unbroken study, they also protect you from mind attacks the dragons perform. Without that, you'd be a puppet doing their bidding. But now, you have equal mental strength, so dominance in combat can be achieved.
Right, well, I am ready to receive the dragon memories.
Then prepare to become a dragon's lair. And that's that. You might experience some dizziness for a while, some disorientation perhaps. The journey starts again, my friend. Your path is an empty page ready to be filled with tales of wonder, of adventure. But before you trot out of here in search of dragons and distinction, make sure you meet the veterans here. Alberic, Aravir, and Gawain know more about their trade than anyone you are likely to meet. And don't forget Isabel. The gift she will share with you, aside from the dragon memories, is the most prominent one you'll receive in Farglow.
Goodbye, Morgana.
Divine blessings, Slayer. The last ingredient needed to achieve the effect of luminosity.
Let's just get away from her for a bit.
Maybe we could have some fireflies.
Alright, well, that'll have to do for this episode. Thank you all for watching. See you all next time.